Hi, it's Jacob. This is our update on what colleges, grad programs, and professional schools are doing as far as admissions. We have other updates about education and testing. You'll see them linked throughout the video or at the end. We have seen shifting sands and watery legs this week. Last week I wrote that colleges would over-admit more than usual. They always over-admit by some, but they would do so more this year. And this week the Wall Street Journal covered it. They concluded that, and I quote, students awaiting decisions from colleges across the selectivity spectrum can expect higher admissions rates. I'm going to double down. I think this is going to be true for students on the wait list. Here's why. National survey found that over a quarter of students are considering staying closer to home. International admissions is getting better, but still a mess. And more students are considering gap years than ever before. It's going to be a slow-moving and volatile slotting cycle. Looking longer term, a lot of colleges are going to have serious under-enrollment issues next year. This is going to hasten the inevitable closing of many colleges, universities, and programs, so I strongly encourage you to consider the financial health of an institution before you commit. The big news in international admissions was that the TOEFL will be available in-home next month. TOEFL is a test of English as a foreign language. This removes one of the three major impediments that international students were facing when they looked to matriculate to the U.S. One was the TOEFL. That's gone, but now they still have travel restrictions and visa issues. If you have closed embassies and consulates, you can't have visa interviews. It is unknown at this time whether the State Department will work to accommodate students who are trying to come to the U.S. in the fall. And ultimately, it may or may not hurt domestic students competing for slots in programs with high international enrollment. A lot of those are graduate business programs of some sort. But again, it's too early to tell. Now, most of you bought the ticket to this video so that way you could ride the ride of test optional. 17 colleges have gone test optional in the last few weeks. Mostly small colleges and regional universities. You got a few bigger names in there. You got Case Western, Tufts, Boston University. Although the bigger names have only committed to a 1 to 3 year trial. As a rule, schools going test optional are those that have nothing to lose. On the low end, the high acceptance schools, many of which are great schools by the way, go test optional to bump their application numbers and bump their yield. At the high end, colleges like Wake Forest or University of Chicago want the PR message, but they also have the resources to be selective and test optional. And both types of institutions cite the same reason: democratization of education. And there is some truth to that. But there is also clear institutional benefit: money at the low end, image at the high end. But the big part of the bell curve, the colleges in the middle, are most dependent on tests. They need them for both practical and ranking reasons. The schools in the middle are selective, but in general, they lack the resources to vet every application in a committee format. Scores help expedite the inclusion-exclusion process. Colleges never admit to this, of course, and it's also true that a lackluster test score does not exclude an otherwise excellent applicant. But colleges also have ranking reasons. They have a playground crush on the ranking system. They kick it in the shins when their friends are around, but they cozy up to it in private. For no good reason, save convenience. ACT and SAT scores are a significant part of the college ranking system. That's part of why colleges give big scholarships for high test scores. Even though scores are a weak predictor of college success, they're looking to move the average up. Personally, I don't mind colleges going test optional. I don't mind test optional admissions at all. In fact, in a perfect world, I don't think my job would exist. But I do think there are flaws in the ethical arguments, there are practical difficulties, and there are questions of how optional test optional is. I'll discuss the test optional dilemma further in the coming weeks. But practically speaking, planning on test optional is restricting where it can apply. Hoping that your dream school goes test optional is a terrible idea. Never hang your future on a single hope, because that hope will turn into fear. As far as your transcripts go, a lot of high schools are transitioning into pass-fail or not giving credit at all. For the class of 2020, the latter is the issue. Federal financial aid requires a high school diploma. I'm not concerned about this. If the federal government does not change policy, which it will, state legislatures will change graduation requirements. In truth, American education policy abhors disruption and is indifferent to accomplishment. In other words, don't rock the boat comes in well ahead of education. AP and IB stuff, I covered that in my education update, linked either here or here. I don't remember what side it's on. All right, let's talk graduate schools. For the most part, graduate school admissions are complete for this year. As I wrote last week, programs that are mostly or entirely domestic students had little to worry about, save geography domestically. But programs with heavy international enrollments are also breathing easier with the rollout of the home-based TOEFL. They still have other issues on the table, travel restrictions and visas, but things are looking up. Now, those of you applying for 2021, looking to matriculate in 2021, may have a different application experience. Many graduate programs are looking at dropping the GRE, and the move makes a lot of sense for quite a few programs. It is unlikely, however, that programs requiring quantitative research, a lot of your social sciences, or STEM programs will follow suit. And the same holds true for professional programs like PA, Vet, and PT school. There may be a spike in graduate business programs going test optional, but I don't expect it. The GMAT is rolling out an in-home version next month, so that helps with the disruption now. Business schools already have a test-free path, the executive MBA, and business schools applicants tend to be older. So programs actually have a vested interest in seeing how your verbal or quantitative or both skills have held up. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, business schools market on prestige and exclusivity. They may worry that test optional admissions would be bad for their brand. Finally, the LSAT. I honestly doubt the value of the LSAT, but I also doubt it will go away. It's a very well entrenched exam. By some estimates, LSAT score represents about 80% of the weight in admissions decisions. It's just not going anywhere. The MCAT, DAT, and PCAT are measures of a student ability to handle level and scope of the coursework that they're going to face. Functionally, they are tests of minimum educational competence. You have to know biology, chemistry, orgo to succeed in those programs. There's not a good analog on the market. They're going to continue testing. And above all, professional programs have another angle for keeping admissions exams. LSAT, MCAT, DAT, PCAT, and the GRE in some cases are used for admissions to programs that prepare students for a licensed profession. And students have to pass licensure exams, whether it's board or bar. Passage, on the first time particularly, and placement rates are important for all programs, their rankings, and they will continue to be so. I hope all this was helpful. Check back next week for more. Thank you and have a great day. Do check out the article below.